Hello everyone, we'll start by solving the question 1 of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. Gunter keeps chickens, he records the number of eggs he collects each day for 31 days. These are the results. Part A, write down the range of the numbers of eggs. Range equal maximum value minus minimum value. Maximum value equal 20 and minimum value equal 10. The range equal 20 minus 10 equal 10. We now move to part B. Find the interquartile range. It is easier to obtain the interquartile to first obtain the cumulative frequency. We obtain the cumulative frequency in this way. Now we start by obtaining the location Q1, which is n plus 1 over 4, and we obtain the answer. Now we look at the cumulative frequency and search for the answer of Q1 location, which exists here, and now we take the answer to the value. In this way we have obtained Q1. The same for Q3. Q3 location is 3 n plus 1 over 4. Now we search for the answer to Q3 location in cumulative frequency and take the answer to value, and in this way we have obtained the answer to Q3. Now we do subtraction Q3 minus Q1 to finally get the answer. We now move to part C. Write down the mode. As we note, 5 is the most frequent number in number of day, but we must take the answer to the value, which is 10. We now move to part D. Find the median. Since the n equals 31, odd number, we must use this rule. We put the n at its value. Now the number that we obtained, we search for it in the cumulative frequency and take the answer of the value. In this form, we have obtained the answer of the median. We now move to part E. Find the mean. Quite simply, to get the mean, we multiply these two numbers, plus we also multiply these two numbers, etc., and we divide the numbers by n. And in this way, we get the answer for the mean. We now move to part F. Explain why the mode is not the best measure of average to represent these results. We note that the mode is the number of eggs is 10 and it is smallest. For this reason, it is not the best measure of average. Hello everyone, we'll start by solving the question 2 of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. Flavia makes China cats. They each cost $22.60 to make. Part A, Flavia sells some of them to Ari. She makes a profit of 35% on each cat. Calculate the price Ari pays for each cat. She makes a profit of 35% on each cat. This means that if we want to convert 35% into dollars, we can do this in this way. Every $22.60 is 100%. $35, how many in percent? So we multiply the opposite numbers by each other and divide them by the number opposite to the question mark. Now we want to know the price Ari pays for each cat. We must do addition for $22 and this answer, and in this way we have obtained the final answer. Now moving to part B. Ari sells each cat for $43. Calculate Ari's percentage profit. Ari bought them for $30.51 and sold them for $43. This means that when we do subtraction, we will get Ari's gain in dollars. Now we have to convert it to percentage in this way, that every $30.51 is 100 and $12.49 how many, and it is percentage. So we multiply the numbers opposite each other, we divide them by this number and we get the answer. We now move to part C. Jean buys 92 of Flavia's cats. This is 15% more than the number Ari bought. Calculate the number of cats that Ari bought. This means that 92 is 115%. 15% is how many dollars? So we multiply these numbers together and divide them by this number. Now the answer that we got is that we must do subtraction between 92 and 12 because Ari has less than Jean. by 15%. Now we get the final answer. We now move to part D. Gene bought the cats for $32 each. Part D, he sells some of the cats for $45 each. For the rest of the cats, he reduces the price by 5% each day. Find the number of reductions he has made when the first price falls below $32. We start with $45. We want to know what 5% is for $45. We use this rule that $45 is 100%. 5% is how many dollars? We multiply this number together and divide it by this number to get $2.25, which constitutes 5% of the amount. $45. Now, as long as Gene reduces the price, this means that we must do subtraction, as we notice that this number is greater than $32. We must repeat this process to obtain an answer that is smaller than $32. As we notice, we repeat this process to finally obtain an answer that is smaller than $32. Now we count how many times we performed this operation. As we can see, we performed this operation 7 times. This means that the number of reductions is 7. Hello everyone, we'll start by solving the question 3 of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. Part A, draw the image of triangle A after a translation by the vector 3 minus 7. First, we must draw the vector 3 minus 7. We can draw it in this way, which is to determine the point 3 minus 7 that is here and connect it to the origin. This line that we obtained is vector 3 minus 7. Now we must move these points using this vector. As we see, we get a point 4 minus 4, 5 minus 4, and 5 minus 6. Now, when we connect the points together, we get an image of triangle A transformation by the vector 3 minus 7. Now we move to part B. Draw the image of triangle B after a stretch factor 3 and the x-axis invariant. When he tells us that the factor is 3 and x-axis, we can translate this to mean that if we have xy point in triangle B, then the image of this point becomes x3y, meaning that this point in triangle B is 5, 0. It will become the image for this point 5, 0 times 3, 5, 0. Also, the point 7, 0 in the image O will become 7, 0 times 3. And also the point 7, 1 in triangle B will become 7, 3 times 1, so 7, 3. Now we connect the points to get an image of triangle B. We now move to part C. Describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle A onto triangle B. As we can see, we have a rotation angle of 90 degrees and clockwise because it is directed from left to right. As for the center, we can get it in this way. First, we draw a line between two correspondent points, and on this line we must draw a perpendicular bisector. Now we must also draw a line between 2 points correspondent, and we draw the perpendicular bisector, and as we see that here is the place where the perpendicular bisector meets a section. This means that this point is the center. Hello everyone, we will start by solving the question 4 of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. Hamid records the population density per person kilometer square in 10 regions of the city in which he lives. He also records the distance d kilometer of each region from the city center. The results are shown in the table. Part A, complete the scatter diagram. The first 4 points have been plotted for you. This axis is d kilometer and this axis is p person per kilometer square. Here we have 3.5 in d kilometer and we have 2800 in p person per kilometer square. If we do a perpendicular on these points, we will get this point which is 3.5, 2800. The same thing here, we have 2.8 in d kilometer and 3300 in p person per kilometer square. If we do a perpendicular, we will get this point which has 2.8, 3300. The same thing here, we have 4.6 and here we have 1100. We will get this point. Also here we have 3.7 and 2300. We will get this. And here we have 1.9 and 3900. We will get this point. And here we have 5.1 and 800. We will get this. We now move to part B. What type of correlation is shown in your scatter diagram? The data points are following a pattern down from left to right. Then the scatter plot is said to have a negative relation. We move here. Which region fits this model of correlation least well? We also see that this point is least well. This means that D is correlation least well. We now move to part C. Calculate the equation of the regression line in the form P equal MD plus C. We can get the equation using a calculator or by using these rules. First, M equal Sxy over Sxx. Sxy equal sigma xy minus sigma x times sigma y over n. Sxx equal sigma x square minus sigma x square over n. What is meant by sigma xy is 0.8 times 5600 plus 1.7 times 4800, etc. And also what is meant by sigma x is 0.88 plus 1.7 plus 3.1, etc. So we get the answer for M approximately minus 967. As for C, it is like this. And now we put the answer of M and C to get the equation. Now we move to here. Use this equation to estimate the population density of a region 2.4 kilometers from the city center. As we know that this equation is a relationship between population and distance. So simply in place of D, we can put 2.4 to get the answer. We now move to this question. Why would it not be sensible to use this equation to estimate the population density of a region 6.3 kilometers from the city center? As we see here that the maximum distance is 5.1 and here we have 6.3 kilometers, which is larger than the maximum distance we have. This means that it not be sensible to use this equation to estimate because 6.3 kilometers far outside range of data. Hello everyone. We'll start by solving the question 5 of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. Part A. On the diagram, sketch the graph of y equal fx for values of x between minus 6 and 6. Because he tells us sketch, this means that we can specify points to draw the graph. 1x equal minus 5, then y equal 4.28. When x equal minus 4, then y equal 6.66. When x equal minus 3, we have in the denominator 0 and in the numerator number, constant number, different 0. This means that limit f x tends to minus 3 equal infinity. When we have x constant and the answer of limit equal infinity, this means that we have a vertical asymptote. Equation x equal minus 3. So we come to x equal minus 3 and draw a vertical line. When x equal minus 2, then y equal minus 3.75. When x equal minus 1, then y equal minus 1.33. The same thing for x equals 0 and 1. As for x equal 2, we have vertical asymptote. So we come to x equal 2 and draw the vertical line. The same thing for x equal 3 and 4 and 5. We get them in this form. Now we connect the points to each other to obtain this form. We now move to part B. Find the coordinates of the local maximum. When he tells us that the local maximum, we must look for this figure, and this figure exists only here. Now we take the coordinates for this point, and in this way we have obtained the coordinates of the local maximum. We now move to part C. Find the equations of the three asymptotes to the graph of y equal fx. When a graph asymptote tells us, we search first to vertical asymptote and horizontal asymptote. Vertical asymptote, that is when we have x equal constant and the answer of the limit equal infinity. Then when x equal minus 3, we get answer equal infinity, and when x equal 2, the answer equal infinity. So this means that x equal minus 3 and x equal 2 vertical asymptote. Now for the horizontal asymptote, x must be infinity, equal infinity, and we get the answer constant. So we get y equal to horizontal asymptote. We move now to part D. The equation fx equal k has no solutions. Find the range of values of k. Because it tells us no solutions, so we search for the graph where we do not have a graph. We notice that in this part there is no graph. This means that when the k is between minus 0.833 and 2, it has no solutions. Hello everyone, we'll start by solving the question 5 part E of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. Solve fx equal gx. Gx equal absolute value x plus 1. When we have absolute value, we can remove it, but we write plus and minus. Now we can draw y equal x plus 1 and y equal minus x minus 1 like this. We want x plus 1 equal fx. That is, it should to obtain the intersection between y equal x plus 1 and fx. We also see that this point is the intersection, which is 2.81. In this way, we have obtained the first answer for x. Now we must obtain the intersection for y equal minus x minus 1 and fx. As we see here, it is point minus 5.13, and in this way we have obtained the second answer. We now move to here, solve the inequality fx larger than gx. We must search for x in such a way that fx larger than gx. As we see here, fx is above gx, so x here is between minus 5.13 and minus 3. Also here fx is above than gx, so x is between 2 and 2.81. Hello everyone, we'll start by solving the question 6 of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. A ship sails 80 kilometers on a bearing of 65 degrees from A to B. It then sails 140 kilometers on a bearing of 125 degrees from B to C. Part A, find vector AB as a column vector with the component in kilometers. In order to obtain vector AB, we must obtain x and y. We can obtain x by using this rule, and we also obtain y by using this rule, and in this way we obtain vector AB. We now move to part B. Find vector AC as a column vector with the components in kilometers. Vector AC equal vector AB plus vector BC. We have vector AB, but we need to get vector BC. So vector BC is equal xi plus yj. We get x in this form and we also get y in this form. Now we add vector I together and also we add the vector j together, and in this way we get vector AC. We now move to part C. The shape sails directly back from C to A. Using your answer to part B, calculate the distance the shape sails from C to A. We can use the distance rule and get the answer 192.86. We now turn to this question, the bearing of A from C. Because he tells us from C, this means that we must first come to point C and make the vertical line in this way. Now we must calculate how many degrees we have from here to here. We can first get this angle in this way. Now because we have 90 degrees here, so we get this part is like this, and now we can get this part in this way. Hello everyone, we'll start by solving the question 7 of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. ABCDEF is a solid triangular prism. Part A, calculate the volume of the prism. We can apply the volume of the prism rule, which is like this. We have the answer for the length, which is 1.2, but we must get the area of the triangle. Depending on the given that we have for the triangle, we can use this rule that fits the given. So we put everything at its value and get the answer, volume of the prism. We now move to part B, calculate the total surface area of the prism. Because we have a triangular prism, we can apply this rule. We have the values of everything except BC, so we can get the answer to BC through this rule. Now we put everything at its value to get the answer. We now move to part C. ABCDEF is made of metal and has a mass of 2170 kg. It is melted down and made into prisms similar to ABCDEF. Each of these prisms has a mass of 2.17 kg. Calculate the total surface area of each of these smaller prisms. That is, when its weight was 2170 kg, its total surface area was equal to 3.57. Now, when the piece weight 2.17 kg, what is the total surface area? We can first calculate the number of prisms after the melted down, so we get the answer 1000 pieces of prisms. Now we get a total surface area of each of these smaller prisms in this way. We divide the answer of the surface before melted down by the number of prisms total we got after melted down. Hello everyone, we'll start by solving the question 8 of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. Rashid takes a language examination that has 3 tests. The probability that Rashid passes the listening and reading test is 0.9. The probability that Rashid passes the speaking test is 0.8. The probability that Rashid passes the writing test is 0.7. Part A, complete the 3 diagram to show the probabilities of passing P and failing F, each part. When we have this figure, the sum of our numbers must be 1. Here we have 0.9, which means we must have 0.1 because 0.9 plus 0.1 equal 1. The same thing here, we have 0.8, which means it must be, we have here 0.2 because 0.8 plus 0.2 equal 1. The same thing here. In writing, we have in given the probability that Rashid passes the writing test is 0.7. So we put here 0.7 and here 0.3 because 0.7 plus 0.3 equal 1. We now move to part B. To pass whole examination, Rashid has to pass all 3 tests. Calculate the probability that he passes the whole examination. That is, it must passes the listening and reading and speaking and writing. The probability that Rashid passes the listening and reading test is 0.9 and the probability that Rashid passes the speaking test is 0.8 and the probability that Rashid passes the writing test is 0.7. And the word "and" in the probability means multiply times, and in this way we get the answer. We now move to part C. If Rashid only fails one test, he can take that test again. Calculate the probability that Rashid needs to take one test again. That is, Rashid will only fail in writing, or only fail in speaking, or only fail in listening and reading. In other words, it will passes in listening and speaking and fail in writing, or passes in listening and writing and fail in speaking, or fail in listening and passes in speaking and writing. And the word "or" in probability means plus, and the word "and" in probability means multiply. Hello everyone, we'll start by solving the question 9 of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. Part A, complete the table for the sequence of patterns above. As we see here in the number of gray tiles we have in pattern 1 and 2, we have 1. And in pattern 3 and 4, we have 9. And as we know that 1 equal 1 square and 9 equal 3 square, we notice that when we are in the pattern odd number and the number after it is the same number is in the number of gray tiles, but square. For example, here we have one odd number which we write in the number of gray tiles, but we put square. We write 1 square twice, here and here. And also here we have 3 odd numbers, so we write it in the number of gray tiles twice, here and here, but we put square. Also here we have 5 odd numbers, so we write this twice, here and here, but we put square. We now come to the number of white tiles. As we know that 4 equal 2 square and 16 equal 4 square. So we notice that when we have even number, for example here we have 2 even number, we put it in the number of white tiles here and here, but we put square. And also here we have 4 even number, so we write it in the number of white tiles here and here, but we put square. Also here we have 6 even number, so we write in the number of white tiles 6 square. We now move to part B. Find the number of each color of tiles in pattern 15. 15 is an odd number, meaning we write it in the number of gray tiles 15 square. As for the number of white tiles, we take the number that is before 15, which is 14 even number. Now we write 14 square. We now come here, pattern 20. Because 20 is even number, so we must take the number before it, which is 19 odd number, to get the number of gray tiles. Now the number of gray tiles is 19 square. We now come to the number of white tiles. Because 20 is even number, becomes the number of white tiles 20 square. We now move to part C. Find an expression in terms of n for the total number of tiles in pattern n. We also notice that in the total number of tiles, when n equal 1, we have here 1, and when n equal 2, we have here 5, and when n equal 3, we have here 13, and when n equal 4, we have here 25, and when n equal 5, we have in total number of tiles 41. So we get this figure n square plus parentheses n minus 1 square. Hello everyone, we'll start by solving the question 10 of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. Isabel drives from Geneva to Rome, a distance of 930 km. Her average speed is x km per hour. Part A, write down an expression in terms of x for the time in hours the journey takes. We can use the rule total time equal total distance over average speed. Total distance equal 930 and average speed equal x. We now move to part B. She returns from Rome to Geneva along the same route at an average speed of x plus 5 km per hour. Journey takes half hour less than the journey from Geneva to Rome. Write down an equation in terms of x and show that it simplifies to x squared plus 5x minus 9,300 equal 0. He tells us in the given that journey takes half hour less than the journey from Geneva to Rome. This means total time from Geneva to Rome minus total time from Rome to Geneva equal half. We can now do the same denominator, and now we do cross multiply, and now we do expand and simplify to get the equation. Now we move to this question. Solve this equation, give your answers correct to one decimal place. We can get roots through delta, and because delta is greater than 0, this means that we have two real solutions and we get them in this way. We now move to this question. Find the time taken for the journey from Rome to Geneva in hours and minutes. We have the total time from Rome to Geneva, but in terms of x. Now we replace the x that is greater than 0 and we get the answer in this way. Hello everyone, we'll start by solving the question 11 of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. A, B, C and D are points on the circle. ABX, CDX, AYD and BYC are straight lines. Part A, explain why triangle ADX is similar to triangle CBX. We have that angle AXD equal BXC because X is common, and angle XCB equal XAD. Angles in the same segment BD. This is an example of angles in the same segment. We now move to this question. Use part AI to show that XA times XB equal XC times XD. Because ADX is similar to triangle CBX, this means that XA over XC equal XD over XB. Now, if we do cross multiply, we will get this form. We now move to part B. XB equals 6 cm, DC equal 5 cm, and XD equal 7 cm. Calculate the length AB. We have in part A, XA times XB equal XC times XD, and we want to know length AB, and AB equal XA minus XB. We have the answer of XB and we can get the answer of XA in this way. Now after we get the answer to XA, we put the answer here to get the answer to AB. We now move to part C. Find the value of these fractions. Area of triangle ADX over area of triangle CBX. In order to get the answer for area of triangle ADX, we can use this rule. Also, to get the answer for area of triangle CBX, we can use the same rule. Now, as long as angle AXD equal BXC, we can do simplify to get the final answer. Now we move to this question, area of triangle AYB over area of triangle CYD. We can also use this rule to get the area, and because angle BAY equal YCD, we can do simplify, and we also have AY over CY equal 1.6, and in this way we get the final answer. Hello everyone, we'll start by solving the question 12 of the Cambridge IGCSE 2018 exam. Find h minus 2. All we have to do is put minus 2 in place of x, and we get the answer very easily. We now move to part B. Find g minus 1x. The first step, in place of gx, we put y. The second step, we perform a calculation for x, and when we get x, the third step, in place of x, we put g minus 1x, and in place of y, we put x. We now move to part C. Find g f3. First, we calculate f3. So in place of x and fx, we put 3. So we get f3 equal 7. Now, g f3 equal g7. So in place of x and gx, we put 7, and we get the answer g f3 equal minus 17. We now move to part D. Find and simplify gx. We start first from the inside, that is from here. In place of gx, we put it as answer. Now, in place of x and gx, we put 4 minus 3x, and we do simplify. We now turn to part E. Find h minus 1, 7. In order to obtain h minus 1, 7, we must first obtain h minus 1, x. And in order to obtain h minus 1, x, the first step is in place of hx, we put y. The second step is we perform a calculation for x. Now, in order to obtain x, we can use ln. So we put ln, which helps us get the x in this way. Now that we have the h minus 1, 7, in place of x, we put 7. We now move to part F. Write as a single fraction in its simplest form. In order to have the same denominator, we can multiply the denominator by each other, and also multiply the denominator by the numerator like this. Now we simplify to get the final answer.